not sure what to bet? Don't worry, I gotcha. Welcome, football fans, grid, iron, gamblers, and every last one of you degenerates. It's Mitch here with my last minute best bets for week 9. Props, spreads, and totals. Let's make some money. Welcome to Money Mitch, Gronk, Spike, the like, and get in the comments and let me know if you have any questions for week 9, any bets you want advice on. And of course, guys, if you're wondering, Mitch, where do I get your bets? Patreon. Link in the description. Also, the pinned comment. A reminder, Sunday, I'll be live for Patriots Falcons during the game, watching the Patriots cover, hopefully hitting all our props, all our picks that I make in this video and previous videos. And we're also putting together a little fantasy picks parlay. I'll leave that in the description and the pinned comment as well for you guys to play along with me during the game. Let's kick off our last minute best bets with some sides. So I went through my favorite spreads. And if you haven't checked that video out, go back and check it out, jabroni. I don't know what you're doing, bro. You gotta watch the videos first, then you come here for the last minute stuff, okay? We got a schedule. But we still have some alternative ways to play the game outside of a spread. And one of my low-key favorite ways to bet a game, and it has been for a couple years, is a bet called a double result. It may be listed as double result. It may be listed as half final. These are bets that you can essentially take a side, but a little bit better odds than a money line, but a little bit more risk than a money line, but a little bit safer than a spread. So basically what you're looking for here is for the team to lead at halftime and for the team to lead at the end of the game. And typically when it comes to the NFL, the team that leads at half does go on to win the game, especially if they're a good team. Sometimes you get the odd comeback, but especially if it's against a bad opponent or a bad quarterback, you're not going to see a comeback from the other team. So I've put together 3 different sides that I like with this double result this week. And I would parlay it together for a bet that if you put $100 on it, would win you about $1,100. So, or $1,000, okay? Let's go through those picks. First, we have the Indianapolis Colts. Half final double result at plus 130. Now, the odds will be determined based on the book, but 99% of books nowadays have this as a option to bet. So just look and scan your prop section. It's typically under the game prop section if you want to look, the double result, okay? The Colts plus 130 to lead at half and to beat the Steelers. First of all, the Colts are a pretty effective team at getting out to leads. Why? Well, they're phenomenal at scoring points, and they're phenomenal at scoring points early in games and building leads in games. We saw how they were able to just blow out team after team after team, including, let's say, a pretty similar team like the Chargers. They just got out ahead, and they never looked back, right? Chargers, Steelers, kind of talking about the same level here. Indianapolis has a great matchup with the Steelers defense, and this is why I have faith in this bet, because they're going to be able to protect and block the best part of the Steelers defense, which is their pressure. Herbig, Watt, Hayward. The Colts have a very good offensive line led by Quentin Nelson, and Daniel Jones will have time to execute this offense. The Steelers are also a very simple defense that play a lot of man-to-man coverage despite a lot of older, slower corners who honestly can't keep up on islands. They play a lot of cover one, and this has very much struggled all season, and the Steelers are not going to try to pivot their ways. They're just not a very creative defensive staff. They do what they do, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. They haven't pivoted yet. I wouldn't expect them to do it in the biggest game against the best offense that they've played so far. I don't think they can cover man-to-man, Downs in the slot, Warren at the tight end position, Pittman out wide, and Alec Pierce stretching the defense. I think one of these options, maybe even two, is going to dominate their matchup consistently. I would expect Michael Pittman to consistently dominate that matchup, and the Steelers are one of the weakest teams against tight ends. I'd expect Tyler Warren to dominate his matchup. Now, here's the thing. The Steelers probably want to keep that one safety high structure because they want to stop the run, because Jonathan Taylor is a threat to go 80 every single time he is handed the football. So they're going to try to be all in stopping that. The Colts will hit them with play action. They'll hit them with screens. And I just feel like the Colts, Shane Steichen is a brilliant coach. Shane Steichen beat the Steelers last year, beat Mike Tomlin last year with a much worse team and overall quarterback situation. And the defense for the Colts is getting a little bit better in the back end in terms of reinforcements. Kenny Moore is up for this game. Jalen Jones is up for this game. Their defensive line, Buckner inside, he's going to be able to get some interior pressure on Aaron Rodgers, right? The Steelers might be able to move the ball a bit with their tight ends, the quick passing game, DK Metcalf, right? Their running game. But I just don't feel like the Steelers play a style that is cohesive to a shootout. The Steelers are very conservative in their nature. Mike Tomlin, you'll look on all the graphs. They punt more than any team when they should go for it, right? Steichen's a much more aggressive coach. They're going to take it to the Steelers. The Steelers think they have this great defense, which they don't have. And sure, I expect this game to go over. I like the over. I think the Colts will cover -3. But if you could get plus odds on the Colts to lead at half and to lead at the end of the game, which I think is going to happen, I would take that bet. So I'll take the Colts plus 130 and the double result. Our second pick will be the 49ers. Now, I also like the Niners -2.5, but the Niners are classically under Kyle Shanahan, a team that always gets out to leads and then basically gets to leads, and then the games that they lose, sometimes they give up those leads, and the games they win, they run away with the game. That's usually how the Niners work. Why? Because Kyle Shanahan's offensive structure in most of his career has been built off of the run game and has been built off the run game setting up the pass game, the run game setting up the play action concepts, and when you get ahead in a game with that style of offense, it's nearly unstoppable. Right? And then you couple that with a strong pass rush, a strong four-man pass rush, and that's kind of the way the Niners have built their team. Right? Now, when you look at the 49ers, they are just simply, first off, the better team than the New York Giants. You're getting plus 155 on this bet. Plus 155. I would expect the 49ers, after really struggling last week against the best defense in football in the Texans, to have a much more refined, detailed, and better approach offensively this week, because it's Kyle Shanahan. And I'm sure that Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, and this entire offense, Trent Williams, are a little bit angry about how they executed last week. And I even heard it in Kyle Shanahan's press conferences that he did not love their performance. Robert Saleh did not love their performance. So I think that the Niners will be more detailed, more ready for this game. They know how big this game is. Because if they drop this game, they're 5-4. If they win this game, they're 6-3. They're right in that NFC race for a wild card or the NFC West championship, right? So when you break down the game, the Giants are last against the run. 32nd in numerous different categories. Christian McCaffrey is going to be the bell cow and the main reason the Niners win or lose this game. If Christian McCaffrey has a good game, you can nearly guarantee this bet hitting, right? And he's playing the worst run defense in the league. Okay, so that means, can you get the run game going early? And then in the second half, that will allow you to put the game away because you should be able to run the ball for the entire second half. You couple that with the fact that the Giants are without 3 of their top corners in this game. 3 of their top 4 cornerbacks are missing in this game, which means Jawan Jennings should have a great mismatch. Kendrick Bourne should be able to get going in this game. And Mac Jones, just overall, should be able to have open receivers. Okay, that also probably means the Giants have to play a lot of zone rather than man, which is typically something that the Niners are better at attacking because that puts more emphasis on Mac Jones reading the field and Kyle Shanahan scheming up ways for guys to get open rather than relying on the receivers themselves to get open. And without Ricky Pearsall and Brandon Ayuk, it is more difficult for a team like the Niners to be able to separate against match or man coverage, okay, rather than zone coverages. So then you look at the run game should be successful. George Kittle is another week healthier. Jawan Jennings seems a little bit healthier. Last week, I felt like he kind of got going a little bit. And then I think you could look at Robert Saleh's defense getting a little healthier up front, playing a rookie quarterback without his running back and his number one receiver and his right tackle. So they're missing Jermaine Illuminor, Malik Neighbors, and now Cam Scadaboo. So they're missing all three elements, receiver, perimeter playmaker, running back in the backfield to run the ball, hand it off, take the pressure off the quarterback, and then right tackle, Illuminor, okay? So all these elements combined, you combine that, Kyle Shanahan and Robert Saleh in this staff off a loss against Brian Daboll. I mean, that's a pretty big mismatch. So, and also, you know, you think about the half final result, okay, the coaching early in the game that might be able to spark San Francisco to get a lead. So I think plus 155, honestly, I'd bet that by itself. That's a great number. That's great odds, but you could put it in a parlay as well. And then the final result is, of course, the Patriots at plus 120. This is the worst odds of all three. But the Patriots have been an excellent second quarter team this year. And it seems like every time they've won a game this year, they've had a strong first half and a very strong second quarter. So basically, if you think the Patriots are going to win this game, which I think they're going to win this game, I think they're going to cover. It's just an alternative way to bet it, and that's actually at plus odds rather than laying minus 110 on -5 or -4.5. This is a pretty good way to bet this game, right? So I think we're going to know early if the Patriots, or I should say if the Falcons are going to be competitive in this game. This is kind of the vision I have for the game in terms of like, we're going to know early. Now, the Patriots defense has been pretty bad in the first drive of the game. They have just been very vanilla, very lackadaisical, very relaxed in their first drive. And they've allowed like almost every team to score, I feel like. Like Tennessee, Carolina, Cleveland. These teams all scored their first drive, which scares you a little bit when it comes to this half final bet, right? But after that, almost no teams have been able to score a touchdown on this team. But then, Drake May has been able to keep pace early in games. But I think we're going to learn in this first half rather early if Michael Penix has got it or not. I think we're going to know early in this game if Bijan Robinson can run the ball against the Patriots. I think we're going to know rather early if Gonzalez is able to take Drake London out of the game. I think we're going to know rather early if the Patriots can run the ball, if the Patriots can keep up this passing game with Drake May. I think we're just going to know the answers pretty quick in this game, right? So, especially when it comes to the Falcons are just that type of team where they rather start the game well or they don't. And you're going to get that answer. I feel like you're going to get that answer, right? But I broke down many times why I like the Patriots. I actually think their defense matches up really well because fundamentally they stop the run better than almost any team in the NFL. They have yet to allow a 50-yard rusher this year. Bijan Robinson, I would take his prop under rushing yards. I think I took it at 65.5. It's around 63 now. I'd still take the under, but obviously it moved down, so it's not as nice. But I think he'll maybe be the first to get 50, but I don't think he's going to get like 80, 90. I definitely don't think that. So I think the Patriots are going to be able to slow down the run. We know that Gonzalez is incredible, and he should be shadowing Drake London. Marcus Jones is AFC Defensive Player of the Month this past month. He's been incredible. I do think Penix is a quarterback that doesn't look at the middle of the field. Like he's funneling to the outside, the perimeter. And that's where you don't want to attack the Patriots defense. You want to attack them in the middle because their coverage liabilities are safeties and linebackers, not corners, right? And Penix just funnels his targets out wide. So that's terrible against the Patriots. It doesn't make any sense. And then on the other side, you just count on Drake May to make some scrambles, to make some big throws. Josh McDaniels to mix in the run against a team that's struggling against the run. And I think the Patriots should be able to lead at half and lead at the end of the game. So I like these three teams where it's plus 120 for the Patriots, plus 155 for the Colts, and plus 130, or sorry, plus 120 for the Patriots, plus 155 for the Niners, and plus 130 for the Colts. That is a plus 1190, okay, for the cohesive whole, for the parlay, okay? So that's, to start off this video, a nice parlay for you guys for 3 double result bets. Put them together, win some money, okay? Next, we're going to introduce another bet that I like to make every once in a while, and that's a win margin bet. This is specific to the Texans and Broncos game, and sometimes I like to take the same game, but both sides in individual bets. So the Texans are plus 275 to win by a margin of 1-6, and this would be my favored side for this game. The Broncos are plus 320 to win by a margin of 1-6. This game is almost guaranteed to be decided by 1 to 6 points. This is the rare time where I would advise to almost just bet on both teams to win by 1 to 6 points, because you're guaranteed to win money based on the prices of these bets, right? So you'd want to bet slightly more on the Texans than you do on the Broncos, given the odds, plus 275 for the Texans, plus 320 for the Broncos. But if you want to be bold and just take one of the teams that you do think will win the game, hey, fair enough. But those are really good odds for a game that it's going to be 20-14. It's going to be 17-13, 13-10, 17-16, 14-13. We've literally seen the Broncos play a game like that against the Jets. We've seen the Texans play a game like that, against Jags or something like that. Like, these are arguably the two best defenses in the league. Like, probably both these teams are going to get 20 max. So you're just playing the odds of this game landing on 1, 3, 4, or 6. Right? How many games in the NFL are decided by 1, 3, 4, or 6? And I broke down why I like the under in my totals bets. I lean Texans in this game. Simply put, Pat Surtain is out and Nico Collins is in. And that might be the difference in the game, honestly. Right? I think the Broncos can get pressure after the Texans, but I think the Texans have the best defense in football, and Bo Nix has not been good against good defenses. They're going to get pressured. They're going to be able to play tight coverage, and Marvin Mims is out, which takes a weapon away from Bo Nix. I think the Texans probably win like 17-13. It's going to be a game like that. So I'm just advising you, hey, if you want to be a little bold, take these win margin bets. You're bound to win money if you just, you take both sides, honestly. Like, I feel like you're going to win money. You know what I'm saying? And then we're going to look at some team totals. So I broke down the Falcons and Patriots already, but I do like the Falcons team total under 19.5. That is actually even money. So plus 100, okay? The Falcons have scored 22 points on the road at Minnesota, 0 points at Carolina, and 10 points at San Francisco. I think this is the best defense the Falcons have played on the road this season. The 22 against Minnesota was a little misleading because a lot of it came down to turnovers by the Vikings and a lot of chip shot field goals. Also, that was a huge game for Bijan Robinson, where I think he had like 150 yards or something, and I don't expect that to happen against the Patriots. So Michael Penix overall has really struggled on the road. If you look at Michael Penix, and I'll even bring up his numbers against the Vikings. Like, Michael Penix on the road in 2025 has been maybe the worst quarterback in the NFL. Right? Like, he's been terrible. That game against the Panthers was the worst game I've seen by a quarterback this year. So going through his stats on the road, guys. In the game in which they went over this number, which was 22 points against the Vikings, Michael Penix completed 13 passes for 135 yards, no interceptions, no touchdowns, was sacked 3 times. That was the game that they scored 22 points. He had 135 yards. That's probably not going to happen again, right? Scoring 22 points with your quarterback throwing for 135 yards. Against Carolina, he had a 50% completion percentage. He threw for 172 yards through 2 picks, a 40 passer rating. The last time we saw him on the road, 55 completion percentage against San Francisco, a beat-up San Francisco, 241 yards and 1 touchdown, 0 picks, 83 passer rating, was sacked twice and fumbled. So he still had a turnover. So this is Michael Penix, a passer rating of 66 with 1 touchdown to 2 interceptions and a fumble in 3 games on the road this season. That's what you're fading here if you're taking the Patriots to hold them under 19.5. And if you want to get a little bit bolder, you could probably take under 17.5 if you want. But that's up to you. That's a little bolder. Because 19 and 18 are kind of dead numbers. 17 is obviously a pretty big number in the NFL. So if you want to get a little, but the odds aren't really that great to really go out of your way to take 17.5, just in case. Like, I've seen a couple games this year land on 18. So it happens sometimes. So I just take the even money at 19.5. The Minnesota Vikings under their team total of 19.5, simply a fade of J.J. McCarthy and a backing of the Lions defense that I think's looked pretty good recently. They get Brian Branch back. They have Aleem McNeil back. I think with McNeil and Hutchinson, they have an underrated defensive front. I think their linebackers are awesome. The Vikings run game has struggled all year to be consistent. Their offensive line has struggled all year to be consistent. Darisaw is a liability to leave a game at any moment. And I feel like the Lions play a tight man-to-man style at home. The crowd noise, the environment. I think JJ is going to be shook. Maybe there's some backdoor possibility, some point possibility in the 4th quarter where this could go over, which is my only concern. But I don't think the Vikings are scoring 20 points in this game. I really don't. I think the Lions have enough reinforcements in their back end of their defense this week where they get Branch and they get Arnold back. I really believe in what I saw against Tampa Bay. I think they're going to be able to blitz McCarthy and get some pressure. They're going to be able to confuse him a little bit. And in Detroit, where that crowd is rowdy, I like to back the Lions defense here. And also just the fact that the Lions are probably going to be ball controlling the ball in the second half, where the Vikings have struggled against the run and the Lions are going to run the ball all over them in the second half. So I like the under 19.5 for the Vikings. Now, when it comes to player props, the first one that I wanted to look at was Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers over 55.5 receiving yards at -110. He's 100% full participant at practice. He is back for the first time in a long time for the Raiders. And I just want to play into the uncertainty of Brock Bowers' role in this game. He's playing a Jacksonville defense, which has been about mediocre average against tight ends this year. But they have not played anybody that is really worth a damn at tight end outside of Travis Kelce, who did score a touchdown and had 67 receiving yards. So he went over 55.5. Brock Bowers is arguably the most talented tight end in football when healthy. And being that he is back and healthy, Jacoby Myers is probably going to get traded soon, so he won't participate in this game much. And the Raiders are going to have to throw because I don't think they're going to run the ball that successfully. And also, you look at the personnel of Jacksonville. Their safeties are weak, like the weakness of their defense. So I don't see them covering Brock Bowers in man-to-man or being able to really slow down Brock Bowers. And I think the Raiders are going to funnel him a lot of targets the week off the bye week. So I like Brock Bowers over 55.5 at -110. Another tight end I like is Tucker Kraft over 56.5 at -110. Carolina's a bottom 5 team against tight ends this year. Kraft has been going crazy. If you were to look at Tucker Kraft's numbers, he has gone over this number 2 straight games, and he scored 3 touchdowns in those 2 games. He has 469 yards on the year and 6 touchdowns as well. So he's gone over in back-to-back games. He's gone over 4 times this season. 4 times over this number. And he's having, one of the easiest matchups of his season. The linebackers of the Panthers are terrible, and they are a bottom team against the tight end position. And I do believe that Steeler game was kind of like a statement by the Packers, suggesting that Kraft is their number 1 weapon. So I'm going to take that and ride it. Tucker Kraft over 56.5. Now we have an interesting Jawan Jennings bet here. So you could bet his over receiving yards, 49.5 at -118. Remember how I mentioned that the Niners will be facing a Giants team without 3 of their top 4 corners? Yeah? Remember that? What if you took Jawan Jennings to get the most receiving yards in the game at plus 500? If you want to play a little bold, there are bets out there where you can take Jawan Jennings to have the most receiving yards in the game, and it's possible that he does. It's possible that he does. Maybe even Kendrick Bourne. If you want to put Kendrick Bourne as a bet too, I mean, why not? But I like how Jawan Jennings played last week and how he looked against the Texans overall and how they were trying to get him targets and get him involved. He is the healthiest he's been all year. There is no Ricky Pearsall, no Brandon Ayuk. George Kittle still looks slow on the hamstring. McCaffrey, sure, there's a chance McCaffrey leads this game, but basically the competition here for Jawan Jennings is his own teammates, Kittle, McCaffrey, Kendrick Bourne, and then Wan'Dale Robinson. And I don't think that's going to happen. So I kind of like Jawan Jennings plus 500 to lead the game in receiving, but I also like the over 49.5, essentially Jawan Jennings to have 50 receiving yards in this game against a beat-up Giants secondary. And then our final prop and bet for this video, we're going back to the extra points as we always do. We've got Santos and Dicker, okay? Dicker of the Chargers, Santos of the Bears. We're going to combine them both for a parlay to go over 2.5 extra points. If this bet is available, make the bet. Plus 179 is what I could find on my favorite book for these two combined in a parlay. So both teams need to score 3 touchdowns, and these kickers need to hit 3 extra points. The Bears against the worst defense in football other than the Cowboys, the Cincinnati Bengals, without Trey Hendrickson. And then Cameron Dicker at Tennessee against a terrible Titans defense without Jeffrey Simmons, Arden Key, and Xavier Woods. So I like both teams to score at least 3 touchdowns in this game. Give me both kickers to go over 2.5 extra points at plus 179. Those are your last minute best bets, your props, your spreads, your totals for week 9. Thanks guys for watching. If you enjoyed, Gronk spike the like button. Don't be a jabroni and subscribe, and let's make some money, man. Good luck. Peace.